everybody. I'm your host, Jaime Soretta. On this podcast, we celebrate everything local. And one thing I love to do is be a tourist in my own town. And that is how I found Rydables. The owner of Rydables is with us right now. That is Shane Dolan. Shane, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Okay, so Rydables, if you've seen them, you know it. If you have not, you have no idea what you're missing. Tell me what Rydables is.
That's exactly true. Trying to describe it verbally is a challenge, but seeing it visually is a lot easier. It's a giant rideable stuffed animal. It's battery operated, motorized, and specifically built for adults and outdoor use.
And we are breaking in our new podcast studio here at Arizona's Family because we cruise this Rydable right into our podcast studio. So if you are listening, you might want to look at the video. If you are watching, we could take a peek at this guy right here. Oh, he's right behind me, sitting over my shoulder. I've got a Rydable pig staring at me. Tell me about this one right here.
So this cart is one of the carts that we deploy at the zoo locations where we go. It incorporates the IoT technology into it, where you download the Rydables app to your phone, scan the QR code, and then you're off on a free-range journey exploring the zoo on your Rydable.
Oh my, that is the way to do the zoo. The zoo is massive.
Yeah. The bigger zoos, it makes it, it's functional entertainment.
Okay, and it really is. So I have to tell you how I found you guys.
Yeah.
I was at a nail appointment in Old Town Scottsdale on a random Thursday. I'm heading into work after, and I saw this line of maybe 10, 12, like you said, Rydable stuffed animals rolling down Goldwater or wherever it was. And I thought, are those tourists enjoying my town more than I am? I'm going into work like a goofball, and I got my sister and I got my friend Susie Tim, and we took a day off, and we played tourists in our town. Perfect. And I'll tell you what, we giggled all the way, and then we learned a lot about Old Town Scottsdale too, because you took us by a lot of the different free public art, told us about the waterways, the canal system. It was really informative.
Yeah, we try to make the tours a really immersive experience. So it's a lot of good information, but a lot of fun at the same time, kind of a 2-for-1 sort of experience.
So you're in Scottsdale. You mentioned you're at the Phoenix Zoo. You're in Mesa, too.
We headed to the Phoenix Zoo. We're currently at Wildlife World Zoo.
Oh, my gosh.
On the west side.
Oh, because Wildlife World Zoo is ginormous.
Yeah,
that place is so big.
125 acres, and even on a Rydable, you get saddle sore by the time you see the whole thing.
Well, I mean, Wildlife World Zoo is awesome. So if folks are looking for something to do with the family, that is a great place to be. Definitely. There is so much. They have a lot of peacocks. A lot of peacocks there.
About 6,000 animals to see. So
and a lot of ground to cover. So Rydable is a good way. Okay, so Wildlife World Zoo, Scottsdale, and Mesa. What's happening there?
Mesa, we've got a variety of guided tour experiences, ghost tours, taco tours, tours for kids specifically. So just a lot of different options to choose from there.
So how old or young can a child be to ride a Rydable?
To do it alone, it's 11 years old and up. If they're younger, they just ride with a parent. And so it's one of the key things about the product that's so unique and fun about it is it really is good for everybody, all ages, from infants to grandparents, and everybody in between has a good time together.
How fast do they go?
On the tours, they go about 8 miles an hour, which doesn't sound fast until you're on a unicorn. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But at the zoos, it's about 3.5 miles an hour, so it goes with the flow of traffic.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And there is kind of an end cap on it because, I tried to hold to full capacity there.
Yeah.
And you'll slow me down for sure.
You're governed, yeah.
Yes, that's what it's called. So tell me how you got into the Rydables business.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting story. We started out with a business called That Spinny Thing. It's the 2-person rider-powered human gyroscope that NASA developed for the astronauts. It was a little bit limiting in that it was a little bit scary to some people wanting to think about getting into this big, giant, 12-foot tall steel contraption. And only 2 people could do it at a time. So we wanted to try to come across something, figure out something that would be more inclusive to more people, and be able to work with more people at the same time. And so we actually started out in the malls, and it was going to be a $3 to $5 kiddie ride inside a corralled experience just for a couple minutes. 10 and under was kind of our focus. But within a couple weeks, we had adults asking if they could rent it for $20 and ride around the zoo. And we laughed that off for the first few weeks, thinking that's kind of weird. That's not what we do here. You know, it's for kids, not adults.
Yeah.
And after weeks of hearing that, we finally decided to pivot and give that a shot.
Yeah.
And so we did. And the first day we started offering a free range rental in the mall for adults at $20 an hour. Was on a Wednesday in the summertime at Arizona Mills, and my business partner called and said, about an hour after the mall opened, he said, "I'm not sure what I'm going to do." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "All 12 are rented out."
Yeah.
I said,
Now
"All
what?
12 are rented out for an hour at $20 an hour to adults?" And he said, "Yeah." So I'm sitting here with nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
Well,
that's
go get a cinnamon stick.
so we
or something,
pivoted at that
go get a
point, and
snack.
we changed our business model, and we stopped doing the $3 to $5 kiddie rides. We started doing the $20 an hour rentals, and then it's just evolved over time from there.
Wow. Yeah, the people wanted to ride on their own.
Yeah, and pay a lot more than $3 to $5. So
Oh, wow.
that was good.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that spinny thing merged into Rydables, but
Yeah.
let's go back from there, because how do you prepare for life to do this kind of work?
Yeah, my parents really had been self-employed pretty much their whole lives. My whole growing up, they were primarily self-employed, and so I guess it was kind of in my blood. And so I started being self-employed at about the age of 19, developing a company with my family called Santa Fe Silver Company, Native American products that we were wholesaling and retailing, and then that evolved into going into real estate, and then after that into that spinny thing, and now the Rydables. So
Oh my gosh. And Rydables for 12 years.
12 years now, yeah.
Only in
Full-time.
Arizona?
This is where we're headquartered. We do all the design and manufacturing. I hold the patent on the Rydables, and but we are in other states across the country as well, Florida and Texas and a variety of other states.
So tell me
we're
about
growing.
that patent process. Did you create this then?
Yeah, so it is a patented product. We filed for the patent back in 2013 and was granted in 2014, and we're the only people on the planet that are doing this sort of thing with this type of product.
So Shane, you're telling me that you're the man who invented the Rydable stuffed animal.
Yes, my business partner, myself, we've been on this journey for the last 12 years together.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
And it must be such a joy to see all the people laughing and smiling, whether you're riding it or whether you're watching it go by. So many people whipped out their cell phones or watching or waving, and everyone's just laughing.
Yeah, it still catches off guard today. That's the tagline is ride, smile, repeat.
Yeah.
But it is the sort of thing that if you're having a bad day and you see 12 Rydables go by in a tour, you can't help but smile, at all the adults that are having a great time on them. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What surprised you about the business?
Just how diverse the reach was. We didn't anticipate college kids and teenagers and adults and grandparents, even the special needs community, really embracing and enjoying the Rydables. Mark Cuban, when we first started out, I read a quote from him that it said, when you solve a need that no one knew existed, you develop an industry. And apparently we solved a need that no one knew existed for people to ride around on giant stuffed animals, because everybody that sees them ends up wanting to do them, and they have a great time and become a repeat customer. So it's been a lot of fun.
But I tell people I can't tell you how many times I've said the word Rydables because I feel like after that experience, I just tell people all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, you have your family coming in. Oh, it's a great way to tour Old Town Scottsdale, get a look around, see if you want to go to the Museum of the West.
Yeah.
See if you want to go check out this, or you just have a good, I think learning about the waterway and the canal system was really cool.
Yeah.
I always show off that sculpture in front of P.F. Chang's with the mirrors.
Yeah,
I
doors.
never knew you could go in.
Yeah.
Until I rode through with my Rydable.
There's audio inside and
Yes.
visual, yeah.
And look up, and it's a kaleidoscope. All of this, I grew up here.
Yeah.
I never knew this. I never tried to enter those doors.
Yeah.
But I learned on your tour.
We try to dive in a little deeper.
So how do you get all that history?
We spent about 8 months putting that tour together before we launched it, working with the Scottsdale Historical Society, and then just doing a lot of research, trying to make sure that we were accurate, and very complete. Trying to make it something that would be good, like say for locals as well as for those visiting.
So you grew up in Oregon. You went to BYU.
Yep.
What were you planning to do?
I got a degree in philosophy,
Oh.
so.
What does your philosophy degree say about people wanting to just have fun?
Must be a precursor to developing a giant stuffed animals.
Oh my gosh,
that's what
how
you do.
wild is that?
Yeah.
On this podcast, I like to ask business owners kind of things that caught them off guard about their business, or things that they would tell other business owners or people who are aspiring to be business owners.
Yeah.
There can't be a format for what you do.
Yeah.
So what would you tell yourself? What would you tell someone else about making the jump into something just wild and entertaining and fun, a fun industry like this?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is something that I've learned, that the universe favors action. And so it's just taking that step and doing something. It doesn't have to make perfect sense. It doesn't even have to end up being the thing that you're doing, but by taking action, it opens doors and things start happening that wouldn't happen if you didn't take that step. So, and second to that would be being willing to pivot. Our business model that we started out with and spent a lot of time and money developing before we launched 12 years ago is nowhere on the radar screen today. We don't do any of that, and we do something completely different from that now. So we were willing to listen to the market and the customer and change when we needed to.
So what's the future for Rydables?
Well, it's a lot of growth and expansion at this point, going into more zoos, offering tours in more cities. We've got a group in Los Angeles that's looking at doing tours there, in Dallas and Seattle. And then we do a lot of events and rentals for parties, for schools and churches and birthdays, a lot of
Paul's Car Wash.
Yeah, we did Paul's
We've
Car
had them
Wash
there
years
too.
ago. Yeah,
They did not get washed.
No.
We were not messing with the little stuffed animals out there, but I had fun riding them.
Yeah, they are washable.
Yep.
The skins are so removable, washable,
Yes.
and interchangeable. So we've got about 65 different designs that we've developed over the years.
So tell me about the different designs. We have the pig with us today. Does the pig have a name?
Porky, of course.
Porky. The Porky is here with us today in the podcast studio. Who else?
So we've got unicorns, dinosaurs, all the different zoo creatures you can think of, mythical creatures, and we can custom create ridables. So we've done motorcycles, Jeeps. We've done characters like mascots, park rangers that are figures. So it's really just limited to imagination and creativity.
So they could be utilized in other ways.
Yeah, and we're starting to create opportunities where people can introduce ridables into their market, so they can start doing events and rentals, because there's no competition, in any other market. So
And you own the patent.
yeah. So right now there's only 2 places on the planet that you can do a ridables tour in Mesa and in Scottsdale. And if you're going to do a tour right now, it's one of those 2. So it's.
Are people? I mean, this must be season.
Oh yeah, this is our season for the next 5 months. This is a great time of year, and the reason why we're all in Arizona, right?
And you have how many different tour guides?
So we've got Heather and Michelle in Mesa that do all of our tours down there, taco tours, ghost tours, and then Scott up in Scottsdale does all of our tours up there. Just rolling out a new public art and wine tour there, as well as the history tours. So
You're going to let us sip wine and do the ridables?
we do. We've got
Just a taste.
yeah, the taster. It's controlled experience.
Yes,
but,
yes.
Tacos and tequila. We've got scavenger hunts on the ridables that you can do as well. So a lot of different options.
Do you ever hop on the tour?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's always fun. Even after 12 years, it just never gets old.
So what was it in your mind that said, I'm going to create a rideable stuffed animal? I'm going to see if anybody else has this out there. Now I'm going to go to the patent office with this. Who did you draw this up with? Your business partner, you said?
Yeah, Mike Batt, my business partner. My wife, Sandy, does a lot of the designing of the skins. There's a local shop, American Bear Factory, that does all of the manufacturing for us, as well as a new shop in Mesa that we're using as well. It's one of the last stuffed animal manufacturers in the United States, and she happens to be 15 minutes from our warehouse, so it works out great to be able to design all the new characters. But we just wanted to find something that was not scary to anybody, and stuffed animals aren't scary. Everybody likes to do something that's interactive, so driving and putting the two together.
Magic.
we thought it'd be a fun little business, and it's
Yeah.
turned into much more.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's
How
all-
exciting.
Yeah.
What are you loving in Arizona right now? What are you liking? What are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you tasting? What are you doing?
Well, personally,
Yeah.
I enjoy playing basketballs on a regular basis still. My wife and I have got 2 dogs that we take out a bunch, and really just doing a lot with Rydables because we're in this growth and expansion phase. There's just a lot going on, and developing a new product, a new version of the cart where we'll start doing all the manufacturing from the ground up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you'll be taking over that part of the business as well.
Yeah, the cart itself as well as the skins.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, he's the guy behind Rydables. And I can't tell you how many times I've told people to take your tour, especially with the holidays here. It is so much fun. I just had a blast. It was such a fun day. You get that wind therapy.
Yeah, and we've got a wide variety, so you can come back and do different tours, and it's a different experience each time. And it really is good for everybody. One of the stories that stands out the most in my mind is we had the Rydables prior to COVID in Balboa Beach on the boardwalk.
Oh.
And we worked with a shop there that rented out the Rydables, and they had a group of 5 guys come in their 30s. They were on a guys' weekend. And they were looking for something fun to do. One of the 5 guys was wheelchair bound. And so some of their choices were Segways, bikes, stand-up paddleboards, all the things they couldn't do together as the group of 5. But they found the Rydables at that shop, and so they rented 5 Rydables. The buddies lifted out their friend from the wheelchair and put him on. And for the next 2 hours, they cruised the boardwalk, 5 guys on stuffed animals. And when they got back, the gentleman that was in the wheelchair said that was one of the best experiences of his life because for those 2 hours, he was just one of the guys.
Yeah.
Nobody saw him different. He was on a Rydable like the other buddies. Yeah. And, that's where different things have happened over the years that just, it's much bigger than what we anticipated.
I tend to tear up sometimes on this podcast.
Yeah.
And that would be one of those moments where that guy's telling that story for the rest of his life because it's hand controlled.
Yeah. And he could ride it just like his wheelchair.
Yeah.
And, we've had a lot of those experiences, thankfully.
Wow.
And it's been rewarding as well as fun.
Yeah, how special.
Yeah.
It was very special when I went. I enjoyed my day with my baby sister and our friend Susie. We had a blast. We played hooky. I mean, I got the day off properly, Tommy, back there in engineering. But, I just appreciate what you guys do. I highly suggest you take the family and go on out and take one of those rides because I had a blast. I feel like it was a shared experience. I feel like I learned about my city that I grew up in that I didn't know, that I share that information now with others.
Yeah.
So Shane Dolan, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Jamie's Local Love, the podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Serretta. Our technician is Tom Heidinger. Our editors are Lorraine Shearing and Gina Coy. Do you know a business worthy of some local love? Email me at jserretta@azfamily.com. Follow us at facebook.com/Serretta and Instagram @Serretta News. Make sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star review, please. And tell your friends about the podcast and the businesses we feature to show your local love. You can find us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Jamie's Local Love, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.